My beloved chosen one, pause your breath for this moment. This is not noise. This is not coincidence. This is not another video passing through your screen. You are here because heaven timed this encounter precisely for you. Before your finger moves, before your mind drifts, listen carefully. What you are feeling right now, the sudden stillness, the slight pressure in your chest, the sense that something important is unfolding, this is not imagination. This is recognition. Your spirit remembers what your mind is trying to ignore. You have been asking questions silently. Why does everything feel heavier lately? Why do you feel watched over, yet tested? Why do moments of peace come, then vanish without warning? This message arrives because you are standing at a spiritual intersection. One choice leads to clarity, the other leads to distance. And heaven is speaking now, not later. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian, not in fear, not in threat, but in authority and protection. His presence is calm yet unwavering. He does not rush. He does not repeat himself often. When he speaks, it is because delay is no longer safe for your spirit. And Jesus is near, not far, not disappointed, not silent. Near. Closer than you think. Closer than your doubts allow you to believe. His voice carries compassion, but also truth that wakes the soul. Not to frighten you, but to bring you back before you wander too far inside your own thoughts. You have been strong for too long without rest. You have been kind in places where you were not understood. You have carried questions you never voiced because you feared being misunderstood. Heaven saw that. Every tear you hid, every prayer you whispered without words, every moment you stood alone while pretending you were fine. This is why this message feels urgent. Not because something bad is chasing you, but because something sacred is calling you forward. Right now, distractions will try to pull you away. Your mind may say, "I'll come back later." But later is not promised the same clarity as now. Later does not carry the same alignment as this moment. Later does not always hear what now can hear. Chosen one, you are not weak for needing reassurance. You are human. And faith does not mean never feeling lost. It means listening when guidance arrives. There is a reason your heart is beating slightly faster. There is a reason your eyes feel heavier. There is a reason you feel seen without being known. This message is not for everyone. It is for those who feel spiritually tired but still hopeful. For those who believe but have questioned quietly. For those who have given love freely and wondered if heaven noticed. Archangel Michael reminds you, protection does not always look like escape. Sometimes it looks like redirection. Sometimes it looks like a pause. Sometimes it looks like a voice telling you to stop scrolling and listen. Jesus reminds you, connection is never lost suddenly. It fades when ignored repeatedly. And that is why this moment matters. Not to scare you, but to restore closeness before distance becomes habit. You are not being judged. You are being invited. Invited to return to stillness. Invited to trust again. Invited to stop carrying everything alone. Your life has meaning beyond survival, beyond routine, beyond proving yourself. There is alignment waiting for you, but alignment requires attention. Right now, stay, not because you are afraid to leave, but because something inside you knows this voice is familiar. Breathe slowly. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind settle. You are safe here. You are seen here. And this is only the beginning of what is being revealed to you. Do not rush this moment. Do not treat it casually. Heaven is gentle, but intentional. Listen closely. The next words are meant to steady your spirit and remind you who you are becoming. Please support, if you wish to express your and subscribe this channel and share it with anyone. Chosen one, stay with this moment. Do not let your focus wander, because what is unfolding now is not repeated often in a lifetime. There are seasons when heaven watches silently, and there are moments when heaven speaks clearly. This is one of those moments. Not because you are in trouble, but because you are being prepared. You may not realize it yet, but something has already shifted. The very fact that you are still here means resistance is losing its grip. Your spirit chose to listen even while your thoughts tried to pull you away. Archangel Michael steps forward now, not with noise, not with force, but with certainty. His presence is like a shield you didn't know you were standing behind. You have been protected from things you never saw. Delays that frustrated you were not punishments. They were interceptions. Some paths you wanted would have drained you. Some doors you knocked on would have changed you in ways you were not meant to endure. Some people you trusted would have taken more than they gave. You wondered why progress felt slow. Heaven calls it precision. And Jesus speaks gently into that confusion. Not to shame you for doubting, but to steady you when faith felt heavy. He knows the weight you've been carrying quietly. The way you've smiled while feeling unseen. The way you've kept going while asking, does any of this matter? It does. Every step mattered. Every pause mattered. Every moment you chose kindness over bitterness mattered. There is something rare about you. Not because you are perfect, but because you listen even when you are tired. Because you still hope even when evidence feels thin. Because your heart has not hardened, even after disappointment. This is why the timing feels intense. Heaven does not interrupt without reason. This is alignment. This is recalibration. This is a reminder that you are not walking alone, even when it felt like you were. Right now, you are being asked to stay present. Not to rush. Not to multitask. This message is not background sound. It is a conversation. If these words are touching you, let them move through you fully. Do not rush past them. And if you feel this message deserves to reach someone who feels as lost as you once did, let it travel beyond you. Quietly, intentionally. Your voice matters too. What you feel in this moment is part of the exchange. Let it be known. Let it be expressed. There is power in acknowledging what resonates. And if this space feels safe, if it feels guided, if it feels like something you don't want to lose, stay connected. Choose to remain where your spirit feels seen. Archangel Michael reminds you again, protection does not end when the message does. Jesus reminds you, guidance stays close to those who choose to listen. Do not underestimate this pause. Do not minimize this connection. This moment is stitching strength back into you. Stay here. The next part reveals what this protection is preparing you for, and why walking away now would only delay what is already meant for you. Chosen one, let this truth settle gently, not rushed, not forced. What you are experiencing right now is recognition, not pressure. Your spirit is responding before your thoughts can explain it. There is a reason this message feels different from everything you've heard before. It is not speaking at you. It is speaking with you. And heaven speaks this way. Only when your heart is ready to hear what your mind has been resisting. You have been living in between strength and exhaustion. Strong enough to keep going. Tired enough to wonder if anyone notices. You told yourself to be patient, to stay faithful, to keep believing. And yet, there were nights when silence felt louder than answers. Jesus knows those nights. Not from distance, but from closeness. He knows how it feels to carry hope while the world misunderstands your quiet endurance. He knows the ache of waiting without clarity, and that is why his voice now feels steady, familiar, and grounding. Archangel Michael stands beside you as a reminder that unseen support does not mean absent support. You were guarded during moments you thought you were alone. You were redirected when you thought you were delayed. You were protected in ways that will only make sense later. Right now, something important is being revealed to you. Not as a sudden event, but as awareness. You are beginning to understand that your journey was never about rushing ahead. It was about being shaped without losing your tenderness. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. You were never too late. There is divine timing surrounding your life that does not operate on urgency, but on precision. And when the moment arrives, it arrives fully prepared. This is why your spirit was called to stop here. Not to be overwhelmed, but to be reassured. Not to be warned, but to be reminded of your worth and your direction. If your heart feels calm yet alert, that is alignment. If your thoughts feel quieter, that is clarity returning. If you feel less alone, that is connection being restored. This message is not asking you to change who you are. It is inviting you to trust who you are becoming. Do not underestimate the power of staying present. Do not minimize what is happening internally. Something steady is being built within you right now. Confidence without noise, faith without fear, strength without hardness. Stay with this message. Let it anchor you. Because what comes next explains why this season of waiting was necessary, and how what lies ahead will make sense of everything behind you. Chosen one, remain here. This is the moment where understanding settles, not loudly, but deeply. What you are feeling now is not emotional excitement, it is alignment. Your spirit is steady because truth has found you at the right time. There was a reason your life felt paused while others seemed to move ahead. Heaven was not holding you back. It was holding you together. You were being protected from becoming something you were never meant to be, from carrying burdens that did not belong to you. Archangel Michael stands firm in this moment as assurance. Not to alarm you, but to confirm this truth. Much of what tried to reach you was filtered out before it could touch you. You were spared confusion that would have drained your clarity. You were shielded from attachments that would have weakened your purpose. Jesus speaks now with calm certainty. Not in urgency that panics, but in urgency that awakens. He reminds you that faith is not proven by noise, but by consistency. You stayed gentle when you could have hardened. You stayed hopeful when you could have withdrawn. That choice mattered more than you know. If you are still listening, it is because something inside you recognizes this voice as familiar. This is not performance. This is resonance. And when resonance happens, it is meant to continue, not end abruptly. What you carry within you can steady others without effort. Your presence brings calm because you have learned to sit with uncertainty without losing yourself. That is rare. That is needed. That is why this message continues to reach beyond just you. Let this moment be acknowledged, not rushed past. Let it be expressed in whatever way feels honest to you. When truth is felt, it naturally moves outward, quietly, authentically. And if this space feels like one you do not want to lose, stay connected to it. Return to it. Let it remain part of your journey, not just a passing moment. Archangel Michael reminds you, protection remains active even after silence returns. Jesus reminds you, guidance stays close to those who choose to remain attentive. Do not doubt what has settled in you today. Do not question the calm that replaced confusion. What you felt here was real, and what is coming next builds upon this stillness, revealing how mercy and restoration unfold when you choose not to turn away. Stay present. The path ahead is clearer than it has ever been. Chosen one, breathe into this moment and remain steady. What unfolds now is not a warning meant to frighten you. It is a revelation meant to free you. There is something you must understand clearly. Your struggle was never proof of absence. It was evidence of refinement. You were not abandoned in silence. You were being shaped where noise could not interfere. You questioned your worth because results took time. You questioned your path because answers came slowly. You questioned your strength because you carried more than you showed. Yet heaven never questioned you. Archangel Michael stands now not to correct you, but to confirm this truth. You were protected while becoming resilient. You were guarded while learning discernment. You were strengthened while learning to trust your inner stillness. Some people walked away because they could not walk at your depth. Some doors closed because they could not contain what you are becoming. Some plans dissolved because they were too small for your future clarity. Jesus speaks into your heart with reassurance that settles gently. You were never meant to be rushed into alignment. Faith matures when patience and trust walk together. And you have learned both, even when it cost you comfort. Right now, notice what has changed within you. The restlessness is quieter. The confusion has softened. The pressure to prove yourself is fading. That is not coincidence. That is restoration. This message is reaching you at a precise moment because you are ready to move forward without losing yourself. You are ready to trust without forcing outcomes. You are ready to stand firm without needing constant confirmation. If your heart feels steady, that is strength returning. If your thoughts feel clearer, that is guidance aligning. If you feel less alone, that is connection reaffirmed. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not misplaced. What lies ahead will not demand you abandon your peace. It will honor it. What is coming will meet you where you are, not where you pretend to be. Stay with this stillness. Let it anchor you. Because what follows next reveals how grace unfolds when you choose presence over panic, and why staying through this message was never accidental. Chosen one, stay present. What you are sensing now is not emotion rising, it is truth settling. The kind of truth that does not shout, but holds you steady when everything else once felt uncertain. There was a moment in your life when you almost stopped believing, not fully, but quietly. You kept going outwardly, but inwardly you asked questions you never spoke aloud. You wondered if your prayers were heard. You wondered if your patience mattered. You wondered if staying faithful was worth the silence. Heaven heard every one of those thoughts. Jesus draws close in this moment, not to remind you of rules, but to restore relationship. He wants you to understand something essential. Distance was never created by your weakness. It was created by weariness. And weariness is not failure, it is a signal that rest and reassurance are needed. Archangel Michael remains beside you, not moving, not shifting, because protection does not panic. Protection stands firm. You were guarded during seasons when you questioned your instincts. You were guided away from choices that felt tempting but would have left you empty. Think back carefully. There were moments you avoided without knowing why. Conversations you felt uneasy entering. Decisions you delayed instinctively. That was not confusion. That was discernment growing quietly inside you. This message is reaching you now because discernment has matured. You are ready to see clearly without fear. You are ready to move forward without losing peace. You are ready to trust guidance without needing urgency to push you. Notice how your breathing has slowed. Notice how your body feels calmer. Notice how the heaviness you carried feels lighter. This is restoration in real time. You do not need to chase signs anymore. Alignment comes when stillness meets awareness. And right now, both are present within you. What lies ahead will not require you to struggle to be seen. What is meant for you recognizes you naturally. What is aligned with you will not confuse you, rush you, or drain you. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. Stay open. Because the next unfolding reveals how mercy moves forward with you, and why this message arrived exactly when it did, not a moment earlier, not a moment late. Chosen one, remain still for this truth. What unfolds now is not about what you feared might happen, it is about what has already been prevented. There were outcomes you were never meant to face. There were turns you were never meant to take. And yet, you felt the pressure of them approaching, as if something unseen was testing your resolve. That pressure was not meant to break you. It was meant to reveal where your trust truly rested. Archangel Michael stands in clarity now, reminding you that protection often works quietly. What never reached you mattered just as much as what did. You were spared confusion that would have blurred your identity. You were spared attachments that would have weakened your inner voice. You were spared cycles that would have kept you repeating lessons you have already outgrown. Jesus speaks with a calm that anchors you. He wants you to know that faith is not measured by how loudly you declare it, but by how deeply you return to it when doubt whispers. You returned, again and again, even when you were tired, even when you were unsure. That is why this moment feels weightless and significant at the same time. You are entering a season where clarity replaces questioning, where peace becomes familiar instead of rare, where guidance feels natural instead of forced. If you sense a quiet confidence rising, that is not imagination. If you feel steadier without explanation, that is alignment. If you feel less urgency to prove yourself, that is freedom beginning to take root. You are not meant to live in constant anticipation of loss. You are meant to live in awareness of presence. And presence is what surrounds you now. This message continues because your spirit chose to remain attentive. Not out of fear, but out of recognition. Something within you knows this is real. Hold this understanding gently. Let it integrate. Let it steady you. Because what follows next reveals how hope transforms into assurance, and why your future no longer needs to resemble your chosen past. One, let this moment deepen. What you are hearing now is not meant to rush you forward, but to anchor you firmly where you stand. This is the point where understanding becomes confidence. There was a time when you feared losing direction, when choices felt heavy and outcomes felt uncertain. You questioned whether staying faithful would cost you more than it gave. Yet even in those moments, something within you refused to fully let go. That quiet persistence mattered. Jesus reminds you now that faith is not about certainty before the path appears. It is about staying connected while the path unfolds. You stayed, even when clarity delayed, even when answers arrived slowly. That is why your spirit feels stronger now than it did before. Archangel Michael remains steady, confirming that your awareness has sharpened. You no longer move blindly. You sense when something aligns and when something does not. You feel when peace is present and when it is missing. This discernment was cultivated through patience, not chance. You are no longer meant to doubt every pause. Some pauses were preparation. Some silences were protection. Some endings were making space for stability you could not yet imagine. Notice how you are listening now, not anxiously, but attentively. Notice how your heart feels open, not guarded. Notice how calm has replaced the need for constant reassurance. This is growth revealing itself quietly. You are stepping into a season where trust feels natural again. Where guidance feels close instead of distant. Where your inner voice feels steady instead of uncertain. This message is not holding you here out of fear. It is holding you here because something within you recognizes safety, truth, and direction at the same time. Remain present. Let this awareness settle fully. Because what comes next brings everything together, showing you how hope transforms into assurance, and why staying until this moment was part of your alignment all along. Chosen one, stay with this breath. What unfolds now is subtle, but powerful. This is where reassurance turns into certainty, and faith becomes something you can feel rather than question. There was a version of you that lived in constant anticipation, waiting for something to go wrong, waiting for clarity, waiting for reassurance. That version learned endurance. But you are no longer meant to live from that place. Jesus speaks now with gentleness. That settles deep within you. He reminds you that trust is not built overnight. It grows when you choose presence again and again, even when nothing dramatic happens. You showed up in silence. You remained steady when answers were delayed. That consistency reshaped you. Archangel Michael confirms what you are beginning to realize. You are no longer easily shaken. What once unsettled you now passes without taking root. What once confused you now reveals itself quickly. This is not because life became simpler, but because you became clearer. Think carefully about how much you have changed. You no longer chase validation the same way. You no longer over-explain your heart. You no longer ignore discomfort just to keep peace. That growth did not come from ease. It came from awareness. This message is reaching its depth because you are ready to receive it fully, not as information, but as assurance. You are aligned with protection that does not require constant reminders. You are guided by wisdom that feels natural, not forced. If you feel calm without knowing why, that is integration. If you feel grounded without effort, that is stability forming. If you feel confident without urgency, that is faith maturing. You are not standing on uncertain ground anymore. You are standing on understanding. And understanding brings peace that does not fade when circumstances shift. Remain present. Let this moment complete its work within you. Because what comes next seals this connection, offering clarity, hope, and assurance that stays with you long after this message ends. Chosen one, remain here for this final unfolding. What is happening now is not an ending, it is a sealing. A quiet confirmation that what you felt throughout this message was real, intentional, and meant to stay with you. There was a time you searched for signs everywhere. You looked for reassurance in people, in outcomes, in moments that never stayed long enough. And slowly, without noticing, you learned the most important truth. Reassurance that lasts does not come from outside. It settles within. Jesus speaks now with a steadiness that does not fade. He reminds you that you were never meant to carry fear as a companion. Fear visited, but it was never meant to stay. What stays is peace. What stays is guidance. What stays is the knowing that you are not walking alone. Archangel Michael stands as confirmation of strength that surrounds you quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically, constantly. You are not guarded by chaos. You are guarded by clarity. And clarity is what now defines your steps. Look at how you feel in this moment. Not rushed, not anxious, not uncertain. This is the result of alignment. You stayed, you listened, you allowed stillness to do its work. And because of that, something within you has settled into place. You do not need to fear losing connection. Connection does not disappear when it is honored. Guidance does not withdraw when it is received. Protection does not fade when awareness increases. What you carry forward from this message is not emotion, it is grounding. A calm confidence that remains even when life becomes busy again. A quiet assurance that reminds you who you are when distractions return. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to stay through this. You were meant to leave this moment steadier than you arrived. Let this understanding walk with you. Let it influence how you move, how you decide, how you trust. You do not need to force faith anymore. It lives within you naturally now. Remain grounded. Remain attentive. Remain at peace. This message has done what it came to do. And what continues from here unfolds with clarity, protection, and quiet strength, exactly as it was meant to. Chosen one, stay present for this continuation. What unfolds now is not repetition, it is reinforcement. This is where what was felt becomes lived. You may notice something different inside you now. A steadiness that does not demand explanation. A calm that does not need permission. This is not temporary emotion. This is alignment settling into your daily breath. Jesus speaks again, not to add weight, but to lighten what you have been carrying. He reminds you that your life does not need constant correction. It needs consistent connection. And that connection has already been restored. You were never meant to constantly question your worth. You were never meant to shrink to be understood. You were never meant to doubt your place when your heart remained sincere. Archangel Michael stands as assurance that strength does not always advance loudly. Sometimes strength simply stands, and that standing changes everything around it. You are no longer being pulled in multiple directions. Your focus has narrowed, not because options disappeared, but because clarity arrived. Pay attention to what no longer disturbs you. Notice what no longer pulls your energy. Observe how your reactions have softened without effort. This is growth that stays. The urgency you felt earlier was not pressure. It was timing. Heaven speaks clearly when alignment is available, not when fear is needed. You responded not by rushing, but by listening. That choice matters. From this point forward, you do not need to search for reassurance the same way. Guidance will feel closer. Decisions will feel clearer. Peace will arrive faster than doubt. This message continues because something within you chose to remain attentive. Not out of fear of loss, but out of recognition of truth. That recognition does not fade when the message ends. Carry this awareness gently. Let it influence your pace, your patience, your trust. You do not need to announce what changed. What changed will be seen in how you move. Remain grounded. Remain open. Remain steady. What unfolds next is not louder, it is deeper. And it meets you exactly where you are, with assurance that does not need to be proven to be real. Chosen one, let this moment complete its circle. What you are sensing now is not new information, it is deep confirmation. The kind that does not excite the mind, but steadies the soul. There was a quiet fear you carried for a long time. Not loud enough to name, but present enough to influence your choices. A fear of missing what mattered. A fear of losing connection. A fear that if you stopped paying attention, something meaningful would slip away. That fear can rest now. Jesus speaks into that place with reassurance that does not fade when the moment passes. He reminds you that what is truly connected to you does not disappear when you breathe, blink, or rest. What is aligned remains aligned. What is guided remains guided. Archangel Michael stands as the final confirmation of this truth. Protection is not fragile. It does not depend on constant alertness. It remains active even when you move forward calmly. You are not being asked to hold tension anymore. You are not being asked to stay on edge. You are not being asked to prove devotion through exhaustion. Faith has matured within you. It no longer needs constant urgency to survive. It lives quietly, confidently, and steadily. Notice how your body feels right now. More relaxed, more present, more grounded. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when understanding replaces uncertainty. You have reached the place where listening becomes living, where reassurance becomes rhythm, where guidance becomes part of how you move, not something you search for. This message stays with you because it is not separate from you. It met you where you were and settled into who you are becoming. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be forced. Carry this steadiness forward. Let it inform your patience, your trust, your pace. You do not need to rush to keep connection. Connection walks with you now. Remain calm. Remain aware. Remain at peace. What was meant to reach you has reached you fully, and what continues from here unfolds with clarity, protection, and quiet confidence, exactly as it should. Chosen one, stay attentive for this final deepening. What unfolds now is not about holding on, it is about understanding what has already been secured. There was a belief you carried quietly, that connection could be lost if you were not careful enough, faithful enough, alert enough. That belief kept you watchful, but it also kept you tired. You learned responsibility before you learned rest. Jesus speaks now to release that weight. He reminds you that divine closeness is not fragile. It does not disappear when you pause. It does not withdraw when you exhale. It remains because it is rooted in love, not performance. Archangel Michael stands as confirmation that protection does not depend on constant vigilance. It is not maintained by fear. It is sustained by alignment. And alignment has already taken place within you. You are no longer walking on uncertainty. You are no longer standing at the edge of loss. You are no longer waiting for permission to feel secure. What you feel now is stability, quiet, grounded, real. Think of how your inner voice sounds now compared to before. Less harsh, less rushed, more assured. That shift did not happen by chance. It happened because you stayed present long enough for reassurance to replace anxiety. This message continues because your spirit recognized safety, not pressure. You were not held here by fear, you were held by resonance. Something in you knew this was not meant to be skipped. And now, you understand why. You do not leave this moment with obligation. You leave it with clarity. You do not move forward with urgency. You move forward with steadiness. Let this understanding stay with you when life becomes loud again. Let it remind you that you are guided even when you are not actively seeking signs. Let it reassure you that protection does not turn off when attention shifts. Remain grounded. Remain confident. Remain calm. This connection is not temporary. It has already become part of you. And what unfolds from here continues quietly, steadily, and securely, exactly as it was always meant to. Chosen one, remain with this moment a little longer. What is happening now is not an extension of what you heard, it is the quiet settling of it into your life. This is where meaning becomes direction. There was a time when you felt you had to stay alert at all times, as if one missed moment could change everything. That belief kept you attentive, but it also kept you tense. You learned to stay ready before you learned to feel safe. Jesus speaks now with gentle certainty. He reminds you that divine guidance does not rely on constant urgency. What is meant for you moves toward you with intention. You do not lose alignment because you breathe. You do not lose protection because you rest. Archangel Michael stands in calm authority, confirming that stability is now surrounding you. Not because everything is perfect, but because your foundation has strengthened. You are no longer easily shaken by uncertainty. You are no longer pulled apart by every question. Notice what has softened within you. Notice what no longer demands your energy. Notice how your thoughts feel less crowded. This is not emptiness. This is clarity. You are entering a phase where discernment feels natural. You sense when to move and when to pause without overthinking. You recognize what aligns without forcing it to make sense. That wisdom was earned through patience. This message holds you here because something inside you knows it belongs. Not as something to cling to, but as something that integrates. You are not required to stay anxious to stay guided. You are not required to stay alert to stay protected. You are not required to stay uncertain to stay faithful. Let this understanding become your baseline. Let it steady you when life becomes loud again. Let it remind you that guidance does not disappear when silence returns. Remain grounded in this calm. Remain confident in this clarity. What you carry forward from this moment is not urgency, it is assurance. And that assurance walks with you quietly, faithfully, and consistently, exactly as it was always meant to. Chosen one, stay with this moment as it gently completes what began within you. What unfolds now is not instruction, it is recognition. Recognition of how far you have already come without realizing it. There was a season when you questioned your own sensitivity. You wondered if feeling deeply made life harder. You tried to be stronger by becoming quieter, tougher, less affected. But that was never your calling. Your strength was never meant to come from hardness. It was meant to come from awareness. Jesus speaks now with calm clarity. He reminds you that your sensitivity was never weakness. It was perception. You sensed shifts before they appeared. You felt distance before it formed. You noticed truth before it was spoken. That awareness protected you more than you know. Archangel Michael stands as assurance that your nature was never a liability. It was guarded because it mattered. You were shielded not to change who you are, but to preserve it. Look closely at what has changed inside you. You no longer apologize for needing stillness. You no longer doubt your instincts as easily. You no longer confuse peace with boredom. That is growth that stays. This message continues because your spirit understands something now that your mind once questioned. You are safe to be present. You are safe to rest. You are safe to trust the clarity you feel. The urgency you felt at the beginning was not meant to keep you anxious. It was meant to bring you fully here. And now that you are here, urgency has softened into assurance. You do not need to fear missing what is meant for you. What aligns does not rush past quietly. It arrives in ways that match your pace, your capacity, your peace. Remain grounded in this understanding. Let it guide how you move forward. Let it remind you that guidance is not loud, but it is consistent. You are not behind. You are not disconnected. You are not uncertain anymore. What stays with you now is steadiness. And that steadiness will speak for you long after this moment fades into memory. Remain calm. Remain aware. Remain present. This message has fulfilled its purpose, and what continues from here unfolds naturally, quietly, and securely, exactly as it was always meant to. Chosen one, remain here as this understanding settles into your awareness. What unfolds now is not something new entering your life, it is something familiar finally being recognized. There was a long period when you lived from effort. Effort to stay hopeful. Effort to stay patient. Effort to stay strong when answers did not arrive on time. You learned how to function even when reassurance was absent. And that endurance shaped you quietly. Jesus speaks now to release you from the belief that faith must always feel heavy. He reminds you that true connection does not exhaust, it restores. What drained you before was not belief itself, but carrying it alone without rest. Archangel Michael stands as confirmation that you are no longer required to brace yourself for what might happen. Protection is already active. You do not need to anticipate loss to stay alert. Awareness does not require tension. Notice how your inner world feels right now. Less guarded, less hurried, more open. This is not vulnerability without support. This is strength without armor. You have reached a place where trust no longer feels risky. It feels natural. You no longer need constant reassurance to move forward. Your steps are steadier because your foundation has strengthened. This message continues because something important is integrating within you. Not excitement, but confidence. Not urgency, but assurance. You are beginning to understand that guidance does not come to control your life. It comes to walk with you through it. And that presence does not disappear when the moment quiets. What you feel now will remain when you return to your day. Not as a memory, but as a shift. A subtle difference in how you respond. A calmer tone in how you think. A steadier trust in how you choose. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to stay through this. You were meant to leave this moment lighter than you arrived. Remain grounded in that truth. Let it influence how you move forward.